We've got a lot to do here today. Good morning, everyone. Quote number 10 up on the board behind me. Youth is the gift of nature, but age is a work of art. I represent a work of art. But you do too. Think about it. Got any younger brothers or sisters, cousins, nephews, nieces? You are now old and they are the young ones. It's an ongoing thing, isn't it? Anyway, remind everybody that I'll be gone Wednesday for sure and probably Friday. I have surgery tomorrow morning. Trying to get better looking. They're going to clean out my sinuses. What they call the Roto-Rooter job. All right, I want to go through and read also a couple things from Virgil's Aeneid and summary. On Friday, it's more than likely we'll be moving on to the next chapter, but Kelsey will be my sub Wednesday, and she'll be posting that online for you. Anyway, if you have your textbook handy, I want to read the last page and decipher the ending part. It's not really the ending to the story or anything, but to give you how it reads and how it interprets. And so if I happen to, in your midterm test, say, okay, just as an example, in Virgil's Aeneid, turn to page 91 because you'll have your text in the midterm. And this is just an example now. Interpret the paragraph for me and what it's trying to tell you. Now, remember, the whole thing is a journey. It's a story. It's a poem. There were parts even sang to people. So keep that in mind. There's another gentleman we've already studied, and he had a story. And this is much like it, except it's a different era of time is all. So here we go. Let me get my Walmart readers on. 'Twas Bidius whom she called a thirsty soul. He took challenge and embraced the bowl. Ooh, rhyming. Okay, these are, by the way, Bidius is another character. With pleasure swirled the gold, nor ceased to draw, till the bottom of the brimmer he saw. I'm putting a word in there. Okay, anywhere he is drinking wine from a bowl. Later on, you shall see in just a minute. The goblet goes around. So it's refilled and passed around to the next person. Iapis brought his golden lyre. Assume you know what a lyre is. If you don't, it's a stringed instrument. It's shaped like a U-shaped type of musical instrument. And sang what ancient Atlas taught. The Greek characters again. The various labors of the wandering moon, and whence proceed the eclipse of the sun. Okay, that sentence right there is basically for you and I. They partied all day and night, drinking from the bowl and singing, and etc. The original of men and beasts, and whence the rains arise and fires their warmth dispense, and fix the erring stars, dispose their influence. Again, stars are a sign of the time, memories, and so this little party might have gone on more than just a day and a night. But was to celebrate. What shakes the solid earth? What causes delays? The summer nights and the shortened winter days. With peals, that's what's happening to us right now, by the way. We're going through, the days are getting shorter, so it's a season. The summer nights and shortened winter days, with peals of shouts, the Tyrians praise the song. The Tyrians were people from the island in this story. There's the mainland and there's the island that they go to. Excuse me. The unhappy queen with talk prolonged the night and drank large of draughts of love with vast delight. So she joined in on drinking the wine too. The Priam much inquired of Hector. Those two guys are basically warriors in the Battle of Troy. And this, as you know, this whole thing is about the battle and how long it took. Then asked what arms the swarthy Memnon, I'm not sure on the pronunciation, M-E-N-N-O-N, Memnon wore. Memnon was the son of the old king of Troy. He later is slain by Achilles. The steeds of Diamond, not Diamond, but Diamond, varied the discourse and the fierce Achilles with his matchless force. These are his enemies in this battle, some of many, many, many. At length the fate of her ill stars required. In other words, she was getting tired. And to hear the series of wars desired. Okay, those are just hearing like me, telling you stories of my life. And you just, after party hour after party hour, or class hour after class hour, you're becoming tired of those stories. So what's best to do? Just get drunk, drink the wine, move on. Okay, relate at large, my godlike guest, she said. The Grecians' Stegans, the town betrayed. The town itself is where the Trojan horse legend and how they snuck in to take it over. The fatal issue of so long a war. Your flight, that was that Trojan horse, sorry. Your flight, your wanderings, and your woes declare, for since on every sea and every coast, that means the land and the island, your men have been distressed and your navy has been tossed. 7 times the sun has either tropic viewed, the winter banished, and the spring renewed. So you know this just by the letter 7 times. This war lasted at least 7 years before any victory was claimed. Now remember, this is just the end. I believe it's the second book. There are 6 more stories of warring and going all over the place. Kind of like Alexander the Great, if you need an example of sieging land and taking over places. Okay, in summary for you, the saga is about, this is critical now, it's about the fall of the Greek Empire through time as it was known, because it was the strongest until the Roman Empire came on. Okay, fall of the Greek Empire as it was known, but it still will coexist with the Roman dominance for many more years. Okay, Rome then becomes the power of dominance. But the point he's trying to tell you, all countries of power will fade in due time. All countries of power will fade in due time. So it's a warning that he bestows on everyone that beware, even the greatest will fall. And later, not right now, but later he states through other poems and epics that there's only one lasting power, and we all know who that is. Lord Jesus. All right. Now, I don't know if any of you out there in Lala online land read the Aeneid. I sure hope you tried to read some of it. And a lot of times people were, this is why I did the last one, we'll read the beginning couple and go, oh my goodness, and then switch to the back and see if they can find an ending to the story. But the story is just setting the stage here. It's not the end yet. You'd have to read all 8 of the books, and we're not going to do that. We're taking what the gist. Okay, on page 100, 101, and 102, there's some things I want to mention. Okay. Here you go. If you want to follow along, it's about the middle of that first paragraph. The Aeneid is an epic and not simple of city and home story. An epic. Epic means story or tale. Not simply of cities and homes, but of a world-embracing civilization that has established universal peace under the rule of law. Many of our ideas about statesmanship and civic duty and our understanding of the relationship between the public and the private good and of concerns for the rule of law is the expression in Virgil's tale and his wanderings and wars leading up to Rome's founding. I would underline that. That is a very key understanding of the Aeneid. Okay, down towards the bottom, and it's just in the middle of a sentence, but I want to read it to you. Virgil sings and speaks about these in his book or his tale, but the scope of the entire Aeneid is an all-encompassing prophecy of the Romans. He's Greek, yet he's trying to help the Romans out. He's not Greek in the sense born a Greek. He was Roman, but he sees what is happening in the blending of the two, and he foresees the Roman Empire as being the dominant power. As I just mentioned at the end of that other little story, that all dominant powers will eventually fade through time. Can you imagine the United States of America fading? And we've only been around about 200, let's say 50 years. And how long did the Roman Empire last? How long did the Greek Empire last? The Byzantine Empire? Many hundreds of years. So we still got time. Maybe we can change and make things. Okay, this prophecy of Rome's future greatness sets the stage for this story, and that's why he wrote it. If he would have just said to Rome, hey, in a short time, or for them a short few hundred years, you will no longer exist, what do you think they would have done to him? So again, an apologist oftentimes will mask their stories and their physical, in this case, speeches, books, protests. They often will be masked in disguise so they don't get in trouble, or at least not too bad of trouble. Past apologists in history, were often killed, or short-term ones. So keep that in mind why he did that. Notice just above that statement, I fix no limits of duration of these possessions, and I give them an empire without end. So he gives them the hope. So I'm not going to tell you how many years that you will last. He actually doesn't know, but he knows they won't last. So, Okay, on the next page, there's a couple more things that actually helped you. Uh, Notice right at the very top. This is just to help you. In book 1, which is at the start of this chapter, we are introduced to the story of Aeneas. That's the hero, his hero that he named. Essentially, the poem relates to the journey of Aeneas and his fellow Trojans as they endeavor to found a new city. So they're traveling around trying to figure out where they're going to put this perfect city. And of course, he had a lot of things happen to him in this story. Much like the Odyssey, you guys. Much, much like the Odyssey. Okay, another reference down past the halfway point. From the beginning, Virgil refers to pious Aeneas, who repeatedly faces and suffers and sacrifices for the sake of his people and by the will of the gods, little g's. His piety is not perfect. We might argue, though, but it becomes more so as the epic unfolds. And then it goes on and tells you the journey through the underworld in book 6. He gets a glimpse of Rome's future glory and receives what has come to be known as the Roman Mandate. And you need to know that the Roman Mandate was called the Pax Romana. And here's a little translation by one of the authors. Roman, remember by your strength to rule earth's people, for your arts are to be these: to pacify, to impose the rule of law, to spare the conquered, battle down the pride. So if you're going to change things, just like the Odyssey, you don't slay them. I don't know if he meant you forgive them, but in order to conquer and to spread the new information, you can't kill everybody. Then it wouldn't work. You would have no one that would change what's going to happen. Here the duty of Aeneas is linked to the duty of the Roman people. One way to read the Aeneid's last 6 books is as a progressive realization of this mandate in preparation for Rome's founding. So to get the whole story and where it's headed and how they're going to get there, we didn't even dwell in those books. But those books are out there, and towards the end of several of the books, the hints start flying in of what Rome's going to look like, what Rome's going to behave like. Then this little tribute, right at the last page, 102. Throughout history, Virgil's Aeneid has been viewed as a bridge between the classics, and Christian traditions, the old way and the new way. During the Middle Ages, Christian authors saw the conquest of Rome as part of God's plan to establish universal peace in preparation for the Messiah that was coming. Peace under the rule of law secured the possibility of pursuing one's own salvation. I'm going to read a little more, but what I want you to remember is Roman mandate of Pax Roma and the law, the rule of law, was designed to be peaceful. It was designed to have a set of rules to live by, to govern yourself by, and for the country to do so. But individuals took advantage of that power. And without me telling you names, through biblical study, you know who some of those rulers were that weren't so nice. They were greedy. Furthermore, the Aeneid was vital to the development of the Christian epic tradition. And I'm not going to read the last part for a special reason. Okay. Virgil goes, because of this tale, even more so than the Odyssey. And it has to do with the time and era of history, but was considered one of the greatest ever. I'd have to poll every student in this class, all 2 of you, and then the others are online, of which of the ones we studied, and there's only been 4, stand out. Can you remember? Was it Homer? Was it Virgil? Was it whatever? And I can't imagine anybody, even at you guys' age, not hearing of any of those people, let's say. You may not know much about them, but it's like if we go up, have you guys heard of John Wesley? Most Christians have. Martin Luther, you've heard that name. What part of role in history and the Christian beliefs? Martin Luther King, Mandela. There's just certain, I hate using this one, but the great Nazi man, Adolf Hitler, just through time and ages. He was a Christian and then went away from it, become an atheist. But his values, if you studied him, and some people would go, was to do the right thing, but it sure didn't turn out that way, as you know. I'm also surprised at students that don't know what the Holocaust was about. Do you know? But there are a lot of people out there who hasn't been taught or hasn't been discussed. So, but those are just throwing things in. So, anyway, tomorrow my surgery, and I know I won't be here Wednesday. Kelsey will be doing the class, and she will be posting online a assignment and some questions. And she will post quote number 11, and I'm going to ask her to put those all on my Populi site, my dashboard, bulletin board site, and let you know the due dates and what will happen. She will also tell you a little bit about what's going down for Friday. On Wednesday, once the review is done and the questions are posted, probably will not have a video Wednesday. It'll just be posted. I do not know that for sure, so just you guys out there online, just be aware of that and be looking. And there's a few of you out there that still haven't turned in your assignments. So, as I always say, some points are better than no points. It's getting to the point where, some points might equal a D. That's sure better than an F. So keep that in mind if you're behind. Try to get things in and get at least some points. Okay, we're going to sign off. And I've been told many a time to keep this down to 15 minutes or less, or 20 at the most, and I think we're probably there. But so if you have any questions online, people, you know how to get a hold of me. You can text me, or actually you got my phone number and stuff. You can call me, but most of you are afraid to call me. Anyway, have a great day, and thank you.